So my friend Mike came over to help me with getting my engine running right. He's much more astuter than I am on small engines, and he went and did some research, and he says you have to have a resistor for the coils. They're not meant to run on 12 volt, they're meant to run on 6 volt. He said that might be a big deal. So I bought one, $7 from AutoZone, and I got to looking, and there's one in here. There's one right there. It was just never hooked up. So I don't know, it might work, but I got a new one, so I'm gonna take the old one out and put the new one in and try to figure out how to wire it up for the coils, and hopefully this will make a difference. There's the old one, there's the new one. They look basically the same, except the old one looks old and the new one looks new. I'm gonna put the new one in. I got a question for people that are smarter than me. The Cushman carburetor that came with this thing was just pretty much worn out. It was, I don't know, 50 years old. A new one is $550. And get a whole new motor for $800, although not a Cushman motor. It would require a lot of adapting, but I just can't see paying $550 for a carburetor, and maybe the motor's still not running well. So this is a carburetor for a 21 horsepower Kohler. It was $40. So I bought it a while back. I made the adapter so I could hook up the air hose. I had some troubles with it. It wouldn't run except on choke. I kind of gave up. I went back to the Cushman carburetor, but now I'm back to this carburetor. And since it would only run on choke, I figure its jets are not big enough, but I don't understand why a 21 horsepower carburetor is not a 21 horsepower carburetor, but there must be some airflow differences. So I messed around, and the original hole that goes through this little jet thing, I drilled it bigger, and that was an improvement. So I just drilled another hole, and you know, I got nothing to lose. So we're gonna put this back together, and I spilled a bunch of gas a little while ago waiting for it to evaporate, and we'll try to start it again. It still likes a lot of choke, but it is running better than it has in months. I don't know how much of that is because I drilled that jet or because I have the resistor in that series. I don't know. Still too loud. I put the different carburetor on here, the original choke cable, which came in through this side right here. It was not long enough, and I had this one, which was long enough. And I was careful to make sure it wasn't going to conflict with the red box, and I cut a slot, mounted it, and it works and it works fine, except it conflicts with the seat cushion. So I ordered a new one, which is, where'd it go? Here we go. I ordered a new one. It mounts like the original one, or I don't even know if this is original, but I'll get it in here so we can have a functioning choke cable. I need to anchor the cable. This cable, the choke cable, the outside part. And it would be nice if I could just screw it here, but there's a fan inside of that housing, and I don't know what the clearance is, so I don't really want to put a bolt in there. So this was tapped hole. It was a short bolt. It didn't go all the way through. So I took the original out, I tapped it all the way through, and I put a longer bolt. Got a piece of steel here, just a flat bar. And I drill a hole in it, so now I can make some kind of clip to hold these two together, and then cut this bar off to length, and I think that will hold it. It doesn't have to be much, but it has to be something. Okay, we have two little plates, pull together top and bottom with 1/4 inch bolts, and I got a groove. I got them grooved so the cable wants to stay in the middle, and the choke works. So next thing is I'm going to re-drill this jet because it still runs too lean, and this is like a crapshoot. Figure can't hurt much. Drill another hole in the bottom, I think. I know there's a lot of science in these carburetors, but you If it's not getting enough fuel, it's not getting enough fuel. So first thing I did was drill out this hole, which goes all the way through, a little bit bigger. And I drilled out this hole, which only goes halfway through, a little bit bigger. That made a pretty dang good improvement. So then I drilled this hole halfway through, and that didn't change a whole lot. So I'm thinking the bottom hole is limiting the fuel. So I drilled it bigger halfway through, and I drilled it smaller all the way through because it wasn't drilled before. So, and our thinking, and Mike helped me with this, our thinking is even if these holes are too big, the needle will choke off the fuel. So this is what's regulating the fuel. Our thinking was it just wasn't getting enough for that particular engine, and we still can't figure out why this 21 horsepower engine has different needs than the Kohler 21 horsepower. I'm just thinking the velocity through the carburetor might be different. But anyway, put this needle valve, I'm gonna put this needle valve back in and we'll see what happens. Look at me adjusting these screws like I know what I'm doing. I do not. I guess I should clarify the choke. It's a butterfly choke, and it's not 100% solid plate. Even in a closed position, decent amount of air can go through it. So what we ended up with, it runs fairly halfway decent if it's just cracked a little bit. So it's getting air. Seems to be happy. I don't know what else to do with it. I'm going to leave it like it is and run it. It's running better than it has since I've owned the thing. It starts quickly and idles real good. It wants to idle kind of fast, but I'm going to live with that for right now. So I've got another problem, and I've been trying to pretend I didn't have it for a while, but I know I do. So got to do something. I made this day tank to eliminate the overpressure problem from the electric pump. It was always flooding the carburetor. Even this brand new carburetor could not hold back the pressure from the electric pump. So I made this little day tank. The electric pump fills up the day tank until the day tank overflows back into the regular tank. And on the bottom here, we get gravity fuel to the carburetor. And I got a little vent in the top. And everything was lovely. However, I did the same setup for my Model T, my little kid's Model T, and I had the same problem with it, so I knew this was going to happen. It's mild steel. Actually, I think this is tempered steel, but it's steel. And it's rusting on the inside, and the rust is clogging up the filters and clogging up. See, right now, this is full. There's not even any fuel coming out gravity-wise because it's plugged. I don't think I can fix that. So, what I'm going to do is trash that. I'm going to make a new one. It's a little smaller, but it doesn't matter. I got a copper pipe. I got a copper plate. Do the same thing. I'm going to put a plate on each end and drill and solder little fittings for the hose. And I also have this brass pipe. And some brass plate, and I'm going to make a smaller version for the Model T because it has the same issue. So, yeah, step back, but it's okay. We're going to make it right. Okay, so the copper day tank is built. It's not much to it. But I did have a couple of spots where, I don't know, just the solder did not want to flow out. So I don't know whether that's sealed or not. I struggled with that. I sanded it, I bead blasted it, I did everything right. It just wouldn't stick. Or maybe it is stuck. Or maybe it is stuck. I just can't tell. But I'm gonna blast it and put a coat of epoxy on it, and that should take care of any little bitty holes that might be in it. So all in all, I think it's going to be okay. Well, I'm thinking this epoxy isn't good anymore. I have to go see the paint fairy and get some more epoxy. In the meantime, I just put a coat of epoxy glue on both ends. Okay, so the new pressure regulator tube is ready to go in. It'll go like that. Just clamp it to a piece of aluminum angle. I'm gonna bolt it to behind the seat and give it a shot. Unfortunately, this tube is a little smaller than my rubber hose that's in there. I'm gonna have to make something ugly to make that work. Okay, one last stab at quieting down my homemade mufflers. I had put bronze wool in them before, but it actually managed to shoot itself out. So I drilled 5 holes on this side. I drilled 5 holes on this side. That's that first incoming chamber. So now I'm gonna put bronze wool in there and see if it won't stay. I'll bend these over and trim them a little bit. Well, got nothing to lose. So let's make this kind of a little test. I haven't been here in over a week. Let's see if she'll start. Oh yeah, she's ready to go to the country. Except for one last thing. Look at what I bought. It's not a barbecue pit. It's a muffler. It's for a Kawasaki something. It's got 2 innies and an Audi. It's just mild steel. It's a little bigger than I thought physically, but we're gonna try to match it up because I've given up on my aluminum homemade mufflers. They just, they're gonna put out 100 decibels, it seems like, no matter what I do. So let's lift this thing up so we can get under it. Okay, I am under the Truckster. I think the best location for this muffler is right along here. It might touch the motor. The motor's bolted, it doesn't move. This is the PTO shaft, it doesn't move. The drive shaft does move. There's a piece of steel right here with this angle. I think I need to trim that. And I got the shakes this morning, but let's see if I can hold the camera up. Now, I'd like to get the muffler. Hold on a second. I'd like to get the muffler as high as I can right here. Whoa, it's hard to hold. So I think first thing I need to do is cut this slopey piece of metal parallel with this side. All right, so let's start making some sparks. So far, cut this square out, and then I had to cut this little notch out right there. And then I cut this out. And right now, I think we got pretty good fittage. I need to be able to prop it up with something so I can take a picture. I had to cut a little more. I had to cut this out, and I had to cut this deeper. Hope this thing works. I wonder what their return policy is. Okay, we have pretty good fittage. All I'm gonna need to do is drill a hole through that plate to bolt it to the frame. And a hole through that plate to bolt it to the frame. And it's mounted. It was not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. It did take 10 trips underneath there, but I got it, and I got to see what it looks like from the bottom. I got my muffler jack holding it up. On the bottom, it's clear. It shouldn't conflict with anything. It's out of the way. I think it slopes to the back a little bit, which is probably good. So, yeah, I just need to get a hole in that weird, awkward position, and a hole in that. That one won't be too bad. All right, I got a bolt in the back. Easy smeezy. One in the front, not so easy. I can't get a drill in here. I got an existing slot. There's an existing slot. So if I can just get the muffler up a little higher, I can use that slot. Then the existing slot and the muffler bracket kind of screws everything up. So I think I'm gonna weld that slot up so I can drill a new hole. And I need to cut some more on the top of the existing muffler bracket so I can get it a little bit taller. Okay, this is actually going pretty good, I think. So they had a groove like this over here, and it was like a half a hole off. So I welded it and grinded it, put the hole back where the new hole where it should be. I think I'm ready to put this thing in and put some bolts in it. It'll probably have to come in and out a bunch of times, but I think it's about ready to be mounted. All right, the muffler is mounted. It's super sturdy. I have an earthquake here. Everything's moving. Okay, the muffler's mounted. It's super sturdy. I gotta go play on the internet and see if I can find some bins to buy, because I don't think I can really make them. This one needs 1, 2, 3 bins. This one needs 1 bin. And some couplings and odds and ends. I think if I just try to make this stuff, it's gonna take forever. So, all right, I'm gonna shut her down for the day and go do something else. 5:15 on a Sunday morning. I am the only person awake on this entire street of commercial properties, probably, but I'm here to try to beat the heat. We've been getting 110-degree heat in the afternoon, and it's pretty tough. So I'm here to put the exhaust pipe together. I bought some fittings, and they're too small, of course. So I think I'm just gonna bend the pipe. First thing I need to do is move the Truckster further to the back, because I'm not going to be able to reach the welding machine to get under there and tack things in place. So put it back on the ground and move it to a better location, and then we're going to get busy. I made up some little flanges in pair. I have 2 pairs and 2 singles. So this is a pair, a little piece of cardboard in the middle for now, and they're bolted. I'm going to cut the existing pipe, which goes to here now, cut it right about here where I can get the grinder, and then I got to make a long circle tied into here. So I'm going to probably cut this also and reconfigure it so this flange is facing that way. So then when I finish welding, I'll have a piece of exhaust that's got a flange on each end, so I can take it down, take it out of here, and try to get some decent welds on it. Yeah, probably gonna have to take the whole exhaust out to finish welding the first flange, and I might even have to drop the muffler to re-weld this flange, but I'll do that last. I'll get all the pipes going. Same thing over here. I'm gonna cut this one shorter, and it's gonna make a big sweep and tie into here, so that's gonna have to make like a 180-degree bend. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to cutting underneath here because all this rust and dirt's gonna go in my face, but we'll do it. Okay, that actually went pretty good. This side I cut here just because it's where I could get the grinder in there, and it's a bolted connection, so I can unbolt this, weld that flange on there like for keeps. The other side is a slip-on fitting, and I got it off so I can weld that flange on for keeps. So that'll be one part of the puzzle that will be finished. And I tried to cut the flanges off the muffler, but my grinder won't fit in there, so I got them partially cut. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. First 2 pieces of the puzzle are done. Flanges are welded on the exhausts that come off the motor on both sides. So this should theoretically be able to go back on and not come off anymore, because the next time it comes off, it'll be at this bolted connection. Unless I'm doing something terribly wrong. Now I need to put these on. This one's just a slip fit, this one's bolted, and I need to finish cutting off the flanges off the new muffler, the new black muffler. I gotta figure out a way to get in there. I wish I'd have bought my Sawzall, but I didn't. So this funny looking thing has the nut welded to the opposite end of it, and that's the only way I could get the nut on that bolt up there, because I can't get my fingers up in there. So this is a permanent part of the structure now, and it is a nut holder. So I managed to finish cutting these with a hacksaw. They're both off. If I stick my finger in the hole, I don't feel any baffles or anything, which means I think I can rotate this fitting to the bottom. So try to hold my camera steady. So I think I can rotate this one on the bottom and have it facing the right way. And this one, if I just, I'm gonna take the one from the back and put it here. Where is it? And face it this ways, then I have two simple arcs. I can almost bend those on my bender. Yeah, this is looking good. So as much as I don't want to, I'm going to take the muffler off, bring it to the bench, and do some welding in a controlled environment, not upside down over my face. So this is going really well so far. My reference was that this little curve was plumb, which I didn't realize it at the time coincides with this part of the flange, which I hadn't been using. So that made it easy to keep it stable. On this fitting, I had put a chalk line on this piece and on this piece, so I know how to line them up. And I took the little grinder and cut a little slot, not a slot, just a mark on both sides, because I knew once I put the flap disc to get the paint off, I would lose those marks. So I put a scratch on them, lined them up, and welded them, and that came out pretty well. On this one, these fittings actually stick in. Ooh, it's warm. Stick in past the outside shell. So I did the same for this one. I just cut a hole and I got it stuck in there. And I put a chalk line to help me line it up in the right direction. So I'm gonna weld this. I'm gonna cut this square and weld that, seal that off. And then I'm gonna bolt my flange halves to these two flanges. And I shouldn't have to take this out anymore, because what I can do then is just take the piece of pipe that I make up with the flange on each end, take it out and weld it up on the table. So I've been kind of dreading this, but actually it hadn't been so hard so far. All right, the muffler is back on and both flanges are in place to hook up the new pipes, which I don't have. I got to go to Home Depot and get a stick of 1-inch EMT, and I got to get cleaned up before I go to Home Depot. That's sad, huh? But I'm a mess from laying on the ground. All right, so on this side, I just need to go from that flange to that flange. Shouldn't be too hard. And tack it in place here, and then take the flanges off and weld it out on the bench. I bought a stick of 1-inch EMT, electric metallic EMT. What does it stand for? I don't know, but it's for electricians. It's nice. It's tubing, it's not pipe, so it's kind of thin wall. It's soft steel, it's meant to be bent, and they have it at Home Depot. So 17 bucks. I'm gonna start bending. I'm gonna try to use my bender. It seems like the last time I tried to bend 1 inch, it didn't work too good, but we'll get started and see what happens. I bent it a little bit, it was starting to crush, unfortunately. I'm gonna scoot it over and try it again, and if I have problems, I can bend it with the torch. I just lose all my galvanizing if I do that. Three little bends, and man, we're close. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it to length. Well, I'll cut it a little long. So I'll cut it about right here, make it a little more manageable, and then I'll start fitting. Yeah, this is all right. Okay, well, this is like too easy to be true. I bent like a 45 with the bender. I bent it in 3 places, and then I kind of held it up and cut it long, and then I put it up in here and give it a little more bend, and then it fit, and then I cut it to length, and then I brought it back to the bench twice with the flap disc just to kind of get it a little better, and it's in there, it fits. I'm not even touching it, it fits, and even the old pipe strap is gonna work. So I'm gonna hook up the welding machine and put some weld on it so it won't move, and then we'll go do the other side. Can't be as easy as this side, can't be. Okay, I made 7 little bends to get close to 90 degrees. And I put it under the car, and it's kind of awkward, but we're getting close. So I got a mark, I'm gonna cut it here, and that'll be several inches long, but it'll be smaller and easier to get up in there and see what I need to do. But yeah, we're getting there. All right, second pipe in place and tacked. It turned out to be, I burned a little hole in it. Sometimes the things you have the most angst about turn out to be no big deal, and that's what these 2 exhaust pipes turned out to be. They both went in without a problem. So I'm gonna take it out, I'm gonna weld it and paint it and put it back with lock washers this time, because it's gonna be like herpes forever, I hope. Bought a sheet of gasket material at the auto place, and I made a punch with the exhaust pipe. I just sharpened the edges, and then I took a random piece of tubing I had and sharpened the edges and punched all the holes. So I'm gonna, I don't know, I made 6, I don't know why, I only need 4. Put a real gasket and put this thing back together. Well, it's a lot better. It's still a noisy little thing, but I'm ready to bring it back to the country. Whatever else needs to be worked on, I'll have to wait till next time. So the carb is carbon, the fuels are flowing, the shocks are shocking, the springs are bouncing, the tie rods are tie rodding, everything's lovely. I'm super stoked. This thing is doing exactly what I wanted. I want something that I can ride around that won't destroy the trails, that won't get stuck easily, and I can put all my junk in the back and maybe haul a little dirt now and then or some logs or whatever. Super stoked. So after this is just a bunch of video of riding around in a car. If you've watched this far, thanks for watching. If you want to watch the rest, I appreciate it. Okay, thanks for watching.